If we're going back in time to like key moments in my life, I remember being like 11 years old in free reading in year 5 and for the first time breaking the code of Tutankhamun's tomb in my like free reading class, and it was the most amazing and proud experience I've ever had. I really got into ancient Egypt mythology back when I was like 9 years old. It was my very first thing of history that I was into, and it kickstarted my love of all things history. And this story was actually one of the things that really got me into it, so I hope you enjoy it, and yeah. The unsealing of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922 served as a monumental gateway into the amazing world of ancient Egypt. Among many other intriguing elements within the burial chamber, there were many objects and depictions of revered deities, including that of Isis and Osiris. For ancient Egyptians, the cycle of life ended and started with Isis and Osiris. They embodied the core spiritual beliefs, societal power structures, as well as gender roles of the time period. Their mythological tale is not just one of the oldest myths known to man, but also encompasses a myriad of human experiences. Their story contains true love, sibling rivalry, shape-shifting, devious party tricks, and even a missing penis. This narrative has continued to fascinate scholars and enthusiasts alike, as it gave us a deep insight into the ethos of civilians in ancient Egypt. Before we go into the story of Osiris and Isis, we probably should look into their background. They were both the children of Geb and Nut, who had also 2 other children, so there was 4 in total. There was Isis, Osiris, Set, and Nephthys, and they all kind of fell in love with each other in the womb. So Osiris and Isis paired off together, and Set and Nephthys had their own deep connection. As the firstborn, Osiris was obviously going to be the ruler of Egypt. In ancient Egyptian lore, Osiris ruled as a powerful and wise pharaoh. He brought peace and prosperity to the land, creating new laws and teaching new farming techniques. Osiris was deeply loved and respected by his subjects and embodied the righteous kingship ideal that they had at the time period. Isis, Osiris' sister wife, and I'm not referring to like sister wives like the weird TMZ kind of shows that are disturbing. I mean like actual sister wife. They were related. She played a crucial role in the divine family. Not only was she a devoted wife, but she was also a powerful magician. Her unwavering love and determination made her the ideal wife for the time period, and her magical prowess was so strong and renowned, she even tricked the sun god Ra into gaining her new abilities and new powers for herself and even her son Horus. But I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself. We're still at the beginning of the story, where we have Nephthys, Set, Osiris, and Isis at a dinner party. But where there is harmony, there's also chaos, and the harmony of Osiris' reign was disrupted by his brother Set. Set, envious of his brother's power and success, began to plot against him. Set's motivations vary in different versions of the myth, but a few things remain the same. Set's desire for power and the fact he is, the god of disruption and chaos, which I do think affects his actions a little bit. This jealousy festered into a dark plot to usurp the throne from under his brother. Set, absolutely consumed by jealousy and a hunger for power, crafted a plan to eliminate his brother Osiris. He hosted a grand banquet and invited everybody, presenting a beautifully crafted ornate chest, announcing a game with whoever could fit perfectly inside the chest would receive it as a gift. This chest, however, was no ordinary object. Set had meticulously crafted it to match his brother's measurements exactly, so no one else would fit in the chest perfectly, only Osiris. As the festivities went on, more and more people tried to fit inside the chest with no success. Finally, it was Osiris' turn, and as he laid down, everyone could see that he fit perfectly inside the chest. Once again, another triumph for the brother who could do no wrong. In that moment, Set seized the opportunity. He slammed the lid shut, locking his brother inside, and threw him in the Nile. Not a very good brother, gotta be honest with you. Pretty shit. As Set seized power over Egypt, Osiris was floating down the river Nile. Eventually, he washed up on the kingdom of Bylos. Here, the trunk merged with a cedar tree. The local king, dazzled by its beauty, had the tree chopped down and its trunk turned into a pillar for his palace, not knowing that the body of Osiris was still inside. The image of the pillar with a trapped god inside became known as the Djed, and it was a symbol of stability and strength in Egyptian architecture. Meanwhile, Isis, learning of her husband's disappearance, began a frantic search. No idea why her, who I assume was at the party, seeing as her husband was at the party, Or anybody else noticed that halfway through the party, the Pharaoh of Egypt, you know, kind of the most important guy here, went missing after sitting in this trunk? Like, how did Set get a chance to grab this chest and throw it in the Nile, and the wife of the Pharaoh did not notice? To find Osiris faster, she and Nephthys, her sister, took flight as falcons to find any clues or answers on where Osiris is. While questioning people, she met a group of children who pointed her in the right direction towards Bailos. Landing in the shores, Isis transformed back into a human and began charming the maids of the palace. Eventually, while working as a maid, she gained the favour of the queen and became the nanny. Now undercover as the nanny, Isis took to bathing the infant prince in fire to gain some godly strength. But when the king discovered her, he was terrified, which I think is very fair, because if I went into a room with my child being bathed in fire, I too would be horrified and terrified and a bit angry. The king was so terrified with the fact that she was bathing his son in fire, he promised to give her anything she wanted to keep his family safe. Isis, in turn, of course, asked for the trunk within the cedar tree. She brought Osiris' body back to the banks of the Nile, where she hid his body until she could figure out how to revive him. Set's benevolence and apparent hatred for his own brother really knew no bounds. While out hunting by moonlight, he actually happened to stumble across Osiris' body while he was hiding in the reeds in the riverbank. Filled with rage on seeing his brother's body again, he cut him up into 14 pieces and spread him all across Egypt. Because that's a normal action. This act of dismemberment actually became quite central to the Osiris myth, as it symbolises the god's second death. He's kind of like James Bond, you know, you only die twice. Undeterred by this new tragedy, Isis embarked on a new quest to collect all the pieces of her husband and bring them back together and revive her husband. How many pieces were cut up of Osiris really varied depending on the story. Most stories did say 14, but some said 42, each corresponding with a different Egyptian province. This scattering of Osiris' body all across Egypt held a symbolic meaning, as it referred to him as God in all parts of Egypt and connected all parts of Egypt to his body. Isis did an amazing job and found pretty much all pieces of Osiris' body except for one kind of key important part. She couldn't find his penis because it was eaten by a fish. So she actually had to make it out of clay. So, resourceful at least. Once all the parts were collected, Isis, Nephthys, Thoth, and Anubis worked together to bring them all back together and wrap them in linen. This was the creation of the very first mummy and the model for all future embalmers. In a remarkable display of magical prowess, Isis breathed life back into Osiris' body for a brief moment, with the intention of conceiving a child. Through her magical powers, Isis became pregnant with Horus, who would later play a crucial role in avenging his father and taking his rightful place on the throne of Egypt, kind of like Lion King. Following his resurrection and conception of Horus, Osiris descended into the underworld and became known as like the King of the Dead, similar to Hades in Greek mythology. He became known as Kenemeti, meaning foremost of the Westerners. This title reflected his dominion over the land of the deceased, as the West was associated with death in ancient Egypt. In the wake of Osiris' departure, Isis raised their son Horus alone in hiding. This is probably because I feel like if Set found out there was any piece of Osiris left on Earth, even if it's just his child, he'd probably go for round 2 and put him in 86 places all across Egypt. He had a very strong vendetta. Under her guidance, Horus turned into a strapping young god that eventually did take down Set and claim his rightful place as the ruler of Egypt. The epic battle between Horus and Set was sometimes used as a metaphor to explain the war between Upper and Lower Egypt, with Horus' triumph standing as the unification of the region. The story served as a guide to death for all ancient Egyptians. Isis' retrieval of the chest and body from Bailos served as a reminder that all Egyptians should be buried on Egyptian soil. For all you who don't know, Bailos is now modern-day Lebanon, so not Egyptian soil. The second part of her quest highlights the importance of keeping the body whole after death. Isis painstakingly searched and reassembled Osiris' body so it'd be whole when travelling to the afterlife. Her recreation of the penis corresponds with the belief that the human body should always be intact. During mummification, embalmers would recreate absent body parts so that when the body does go to the afterlife, they're in tip-top shape to live their best afterlife. Osiris' reign deeply impacted the understanding of the afterlife. This association offered hope for eternal life, as Osiris triumphed over death. The annual flooding of the Nile River became associated with Osiris, symbolizing the cycle of life, death, rebirth in nature. The Osiris myth deeply affected people's understanding of the afterlife. From around 2000 BCE, everybody could have an afterlife, not just pharaohs, making Osiris very popular and one of the most revered deities, which is why we know so much about him in comparison to some other gods. Osiris became the judge of the dead, overseeing the weighing of the heart ceremony that we see in the Book of the Dead.
Oh my God, Book of the Dead.
The Osiris myth deeply affected Egyptians' understanding of life, death, and afterlife, as well as offering hope and comfort for the living. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if there's anything else that you want to see. And yeah, have a good day. Bye!